We've been talking a little bit about what we want to do for today's episode. It's kind of taken a couple different forms. I think one is as Christians, how are we motivated? And that has to do with our personality types and our relationship with God, things like that. You're going to talk a little bit about music still, but we're going to kind of see how the conversation goes. But that's kind of the two themes that have been coming out of our hour-long conversation before this podcast start.
That's right. Free form a little bit. Grateful Dead, emotions, behavior. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, episode 85 is today of the Deep Dives.
So, Joshy.
Yes.
5 more minutes, it would have been... No, we actually sat down about 5 minutes till...
Yeah.
It's been an hour. We've been sitting here, and y'all have been wasting time.
Yep.
Talking about history, the way things have happened in the world, geography and sociology. And honestly, I enjoy watching you two talk as engineers and historians because I think of it in a societal way. Whether y'all know it or not, the last hour conversation has been really about society, sociology, and how people can be manipulated, how people can grow up in an environment, and how that creates certain behaviors and beliefs as an adult, or even as an adult, if you move from one environment and put into another, that you maintain your hardwired behavior and beliefs probably, but there's going to be some things that are going to influence you that will change you, make you different than you were over here. Really hardwired people that really know who they are, who are grounded, will be less likely to be influenced, but still, I think everybody is influenced by their environment in some way or another. You agree with that?
Yeah, and I heard it put a certain way once that I really like. Everybody is a thermometer or a thermostat.
Good.
And I used to think like you're either or.
Okay.
But I think we all have components of each.
Yeah.
Just one tendency is stronger than another. And what that means is, a thermometer, they walk into a room and they take on the temperature of the room. A thermostat, you walk into a room and it doesn't matter what the temperature of the room is, you're set at what you're set. And there's an effort, whether subconscious or on purpose or whatever, that changes the environment around you.
You've heard people... Unfortunately, many times at funerals, people, or if they're giving a eulogy or whatever, they'll say that whenever so-and-so walked into a room, he lit up the room.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think there's a little bit of that in people that are very charismatic, frontmen to bands. Jerry Garcia, one of them.
Yeah.
Ted Nugent, another one. Whomever. Sammy Hagar is a really charismatic person. And people, preachers, pastors.
Yeah.
A lot of pastors are very charismatic.
I remember watching this documentary once, and they were showing this kind of like social experiment where they had a waiting room for, I guess people were waiting to go get an interview or whatever, and they had a couple plants in the people that were planted in that room that whenever a beep would come on over the sound system, they would just they wouldn't say anything. They would just act normal. They would just stand up, and the beep would happen. They'd sit back down. And the other people that were in the room that weren't in on this prank or experiment or whatever started like, why are they doing this? And it wasn't very long, like a couple beeps. Everybody just started doing this.
Started standing up. Oh, interesting.
Like the beep, they'd stand up, they'd sit down, and sometimes they'd even ask like, "Why are we doing this?" And like, "Oh, I don't know. It's just when it beeps, we're supposed to stand up. When it beeps, we're supposed to sit back down."
That's funny.
And
That's so
the
funny.
people who were in on it, they'd eventually get called in for the quote unquote interview. And but it wasn't very long until nobody who was in on the experiment or had knowledge of the experiment was in the room. It was all new people. and the trait continued.
That's so scary.
It beeps. Everyone stood up. It beeps. Everyone sat down.
That is so scary,
And-
Josh.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
Man,
and
man.
So that's kind of like the thermometer.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anyone in those experiments who are like, "That's stupid. I don't know why we're doing this. I'm not doing it." Everybody eventually, like there were a couple who like resisted a little bit, but eventually they kind of slowly stood up and took part in this community action.
I would love to have seen that. And I wonder if some of them were conscious of it and some of them were unconscious of them standing up. I know they heard the beep and saw people standing up, but after a while, were they just, did they just do it? Their subconscious heard it and they did. Anyway, that's so scary in so many levels, especially nowadays with our electronic devices that we're magnetized to how we're being manipulated. We're being manipulated. I know I'm being manipulated and I can't do anything about it. Open up Facebook the next hour. I'm doing this going, I don't even want to be doing it. I don't want to do this, and consciously I would go, put that thing down, put it away from me so I can't reach it.
And that's gotten really, it's gotten worse. There's like a jump when it got worse, like instantly. And that's when the infinite scroll was introduced. And now we not only have the infinite scroll vertically, every now and then we reach a point and there's an infinite scroll horizontally.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
And
Dagnabbit.
And I've heard, I think it was a guy at Google who first like implemented the infinite scroll or whatever. After that, like did a quick calculation and figured out like every minute, so many like hours, lengths of human lives are being wasted every minute because of this infinite scroll feature, and that really messed with him, and he kind of regretted, which is weird because if he wouldn't have implemented it, someone else would have.
Someone else would have, right.
But still, just the idea that he felt remorse over the knowledge that he has resulted in wasting so many lives just by the accumulated hours that are passing every minute of people doing this infinite scroll.
Well, Josh, that could be a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk a little bit more about some behaviors, some specific behaviors, and thought processes. And I wanted to start off. I'm going to try to compare two things. Okay. One, first of all, let me say this: it's the 60th anniversary of something to do with the Grateful Dead. And I can tell you exactly what it was. I think it's 60 years since they started.
Okay.
But I saw it all over my Facebook page.
Right.
60 years, celebrating 60 years of the Grateful Dead. Great. I swiped, not even read everything about it. Something to do with 60 years. I think it's since they first started as a band. So I want to talk about them a little bit. And I want to also transition that into a worship Sunday or anytime there's a worship service going on. Man, listen, the Grateful Dead wasn't just a band. It was a way of life for the Deadheads. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. The Deadheads were people that followed the Grateful Dead around from California to New York to Nevada. Wherever they went, Deadheads would do whatever they had to do to get from one concert to a show, one show to another show. They would they would ride in a van, whatever they would do, they'd get from here to there. That was their main goal in life, to do that. And there are also people in the peripheral, right? College students who would go see them. That was me, college student, would go see them whenever they came close. I've seen the Grateful Dead 8 times. Excuse me, three nights in a row at Meriwether Post Pavilion in Maryland. 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights. Camped out in a car in the parking lot and just lived that life for 3 days. And other times in Richmond, one in Charlotte, and some other places. I never went from place to place to place to place, back to back. I was never a Deadhead, although I'd probably call myself that back in the day. Whenever I first started liking the Grateful Dead, it was I liked the music but I also like the environment. It was peace, love, and whatever. You know what I mean? I back in college, I think I would probably say I was more liberal than definitely socially liberal than certainly I am now. And I was less. I didn't get saved until after I had graduated from college, but I knew who God was, but I wasn't a God lover. I knew who Jesus was, but I wasn't a Jesus follower.
You were a Jesus head?
I was a Jesus head. I was a Grateful Dead head, Jerry Garcia head. Certainly didn't spend any time, studying the Bible or finding out who Jesus was, and hadn't made a decision on what Jesus meant to me at the time. So I didn't have I had parameters that my parents set, some borders. Don't do this and don't do that. Stay in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was pretty wide. There's a lot of things in the middle that I felt like I could do, and did. One of them was going to Grateful Dead shows and doing some drugs, not a whole bunch of drugs. I smoked pot and took mushrooms. That's as far as I've done. Never done cocaine, never done acid. And back in the day, whenever I was going to these shows in the 70s and 80s, acid was the thing, man. Good gracious, it was everywhere. I had to almost go out of my way not to drop acid.
Yeah.
Because it was everywhere. Somehow I fixed it in my mind. I rationalized it. Doing mushrooms that you found in the ground was okay. It was psilocybin, that made you trip and things like that. I did that a couple of times. Thank God, not more than that. But that was the environment, right? That was and certainly drinking beer. That was the environment. This was pre-Christ. I want everybody to know, pre-Christ.
This wasn't after church last Sunday.
That's true. I hadn't done that kind of stuff in weeks. Been weeks, Chris. Anyway, whenever I first started going to see the Grateful Dead, I liked the environment was peace, love, drugs, right? Mm-hmm. And the people around, that's who I saw. That's what I saw. The people that were there, I saw peace, love, and just everybody getting along. First time I went to a Dead show. Years later, the 8th time I went to a Dead show, you know what I saw? The same people, but I saw a bunch of homeless people begging to get from one place to another. Mm-hmm. They didn't change. I changed. This was even before Christ.
Right.
My total attitude has changed in the exact same environment. Mm-hmm. In the years from before the first concert I saw, it was, I don't know, 10, 12 years before the first concert and the last concert. I felt like I needed to take a shower after I got through at the last Grateful Dead show. I was there. I enjoyed the music, but getting to my vehicle, to the venue and back was a challenge for me.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, no, I'm not giving you money to get from here to there. No, I don't want any of your drug. No, I want you to get out of my way. Mm-hmm. It was everything was in my way. I wasn't embracing it. So what an example of something happening inside.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When you were in college mm-hmm. and you were going to concerts, what did Destry look like at those concerts at that time? Like, were you dancing around, getting into it? Were you just sitting there listening?
Whenever I was enjoying it, mm-hmm. I was dancing around.
Okay.
I was. Mullet. It was mullet Destry, long hair, shorts. So funny. I was wearing sandals, shorts, a hat. Wow, I guess it was a lot like what I was. If I had a mullet right now, it would look a lot like I look right now, Josh.
Gotcha.
In a tie dye, and it was a big thing to wear beads back then. So mm-hmm. I was more of a poser, right? I would wear a tie dye to college and just as a regular thing, but looking back on it, I was definitely more of a poser deadhead than anything else. Mm-hmm. It was like I put on a costume almost.
Compared to if you were to go to a Grateful Dead concert today.
What I would wear today is my buddy Kent's tie-dye, because mm-hmm. we lost Kent just a little over 2 years ago, and he was who I went to the Dead shows with. I don't think I ever went to a Dead show without Kent. And, I preached his funeral 2 years ago. So I would, for him, I would wear his his T-shirt in a lot, and these shorts and these shoes probably.
Well, but like, how do you act at a concert now?
Oh, how I'd act now?
Yeah, because you said you used to be like dancing around and
I'd
getting into it or whatever.
Right. I wouldn't be dancing around. I would take my camera, and I would take pictures of everybody doing what they do, and it wouldn't be an ironic thing. It would be a social thing. I would take pictures of people, the band. You know what I mean? So I would be more. I think what you're asking is I would be more an observer than I would be a participator.
Because when all my life, whenever I've gone to concerts, I've never been the kind of person to like get into the music like other people around me are.
Right.
And this has to do with either being in a concert or being at church in a worship service or whatever. I'm always sitting there listening to it. I'm enjoying it immensely. But from the outside, it just looks like I'm just sitting there still, almost like I'm analyzing it. Just because of the way, and that's never changed. Even when I was a kid, going to concerts at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo with my parents or something, that's how I was back then. That's going to concerts with my wife and daughter now, same way.
That's the way you are.
Going to concerts when I was in college, same way.
So the external isn't necessarily what's going on the internal.
Right.
You're there. You're not necessarily analyzing either. You're enjoing it.
Yeah. It's kind of like I turn off the external so I can devote all resources to the internal.
Gotcha. Well, I was
routing power.
What'd you call it? That's your Vulcan.
Yeah, my emotionless Vulcan tendencies.
That's right. Your emotionless Vulcan tendencies. That's right. I was more of a participator. The first shows and the last shows, even the last time I went, whenever I didn't enjoy the people or the environment, I was a participant, but a participant in the music,
right? Not
in the environment, the subculture that was out there. So it's interesting what you said about the way you do it, the way that you participate in a group praise or whatever, a group atmosphere concert. What reminded me of this is I went to another recent event less than a week ago, and I was there, and I found myself being an observer. But if I went to the same event even a year prior to now or 2 years prior to now, I would have been a participant. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
A year or 2 years isn't that long. It really isn't. Now,
but you've also gone through a lot in the past 2 years.
It's been a roller coaster. It has, and this was about an hour-long event. And what was interesting about it, I was so introspective at the time this was happening. I was in the front row, and I'm sitting watching. And there's a lot of people around me, and they're very excited about what's going on. And I am absolutely excited. I am not anti what's happening.
Right.
I am. Yeah, this is awesome. This is great. It's not going to change my behavior at all. And maybe that's why I wasn't really. I don't know. But people to my right, people to my left, behind me, there was over 1,000 people there. Very charismatic speakers. Good stuff happening. This is how I was the whole time. And at one point, the speaker was recognizing people and groups of people, and the speaker said, "Stand up if you participate in this. Stand up if you participate in this." There's several times I could have stood up. I didn't even think about standing up. My heart rate didn't even raise. Nothing during the whole time. I'm just watching. And it was a really strange introspection. I walked away going, what does that mean? And I'm glad that I came to the conclusion that my affection for what the organizers of this event are trying to push, I'm still all in. I'm all in. But I don't want to steal your words. But a minute ago, before we started recording, you said that's not how I'm motivated. I guess I did steal your words, but
Yeah.
I realized that this isn't motivating me at all.
Right.
But it's not demotivating me either. It's not making me not want to do something, but I could have stayed home and watched TV.
Right.
And I would have still behaved the same way after than before. I was there because I was doing a job, really. So I just thought, man, isn't that strange? Same thing with the Grateful Dead show.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And this current life activity. But yet the people that I was around, I love. I could look around and I could tell you that there's 10 people that I could say I honestly love right next. And they're all, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm happy for you. What time is it?
Right. No, I mean, that's honestly something I've struggled with in my own life for a long time because, man, especially when you're like in a worship environment, and it's weird because you'll be in this environment and there's a worship service going on. The people up front are performing a really, really good song. Everyone around you has their hands raised. Some have tears coming down their face, all this stuff. And that bothered me because I don't react that way to pretty much anything. That's just not how I'm built.
Even if Allison Krauss was up there, you wouldn't be dancing around.
Exactly. I mean, when my wife and I just went to that Allison Krauss concert, which one of my favorite groups of all time, Allison Krauss, Union Station, dobro player Jerry Douglas, love listening to him. When I'm there, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to it.
Yep.
Every now and then I'll hum along to it or something like that, but I'm just so engrossed in watching them perform.
Yeah.
And I love like how they write songs, how the songs like weave this tale of something that's really compelling, and I enjoy that so much, but on the outside it just looks like I'm sitting there motionless, like I've been turned off or something, and
I think the best we can get out of you is a toe tap.
oh yeah, obviously, yeah.
Right, we can get a toe tap out of Josh for doing good.
He'll woo.
Yeah, and a woo.
And
yeah.
a woo. Woo.
But I'm enjoying it immensely,
Yes,
and that doesn't bother me in that environment, but it did bother me when I would be in a worship service because there's something deeper to worship.
Yeah.
You're communicating with the God who loves you and saves you, all that kind of stuff, and that used to bother me because I would have a similar reaction where I'm listening to the lyrics, I'm listening to the music, and it's affecting me at a deep level. But I look around and I'm like, I'm not reacting to that like everybody else around me is acting, where my hands are raised, I'm dancing around, or I'm, singing at the top of my lungs or whatever. And I used to think, man, what's wrong with me? And yet, sorry about that.
You come from a very charismatic church background too.
Yeah, I was raised Pentecostal.
Yeah, I mean you're talking about raising hand. Even infants raise their hand at Pentecostals,
right? Yeah, and I was the same. And I was the same way in that environment too.
You're calm.
I was calm. Okay. Yeah, everybody around me would be doing whatever, and I would be the one that was calm.
Pushing back the chairs for everybody dancing the Holy Spirit.
Pretty much, yeah. And and it's not like. Yeah, it was a weird sensation because like I'm still getting something out of the service, but I'm not reacting the same way, and that bothered me. And it took a long time for me to realize that I'm not expected to act outwardly the same way that other people do because like the Bible says, what's on the outward comes from what's on the inside. And that to me that kind of hit me the wrong way because. If what's on the outside comes from the inside, why am I not acting like they are?
Okay.
Is it something different on the inside? And I didn't realize, like, God built my brain the way He did.
Yeah.
If you ask anyone who knows me, it doesn't surprise them at all that I was geared to be an engineer, and that's just how my brain was always meant. That was the career my brain was always meant to go into.
Yeah.
Just because of how my brain works.
Yes.
And so because God built my brain that way, he knows how my brain works. He knows how my heart works. He knows how to get my attention. And even though I might not be reacting on the outward like everybody else does, there's something going on inside that I can feel, and I can. It's a tangible interaction with God that's going on the inside. That might not manifest itself on the inside, but it's there nonetheless. And it took me a long time to get comfortable with that. Now, I will admit, probably from the performer's perspective, I'm probably the most horrible person to to be in the audience,
Right?
Because there's very little outward acknowledgement that they're doing a great job.
Right. If they're needing to feed off of feedback, they're not going to get it from you.
No, I'm not the guy.
Yep.
Regrettably so. But there's a lot of times where, like, knowing that afterwards, if I'm like in a performance, if I'm in a service or whatever, a lot of times afterwards, I'll go up and say how much I appreciated it and all that.
Jeremy,
kind of
y'all
stuff.
did a great job today. Right. Yeah, I appreciate it. Jeremy would say, we couldn't tell it, but looking at you.
I know, right? And so, more so in smaller venues, I'll go up. Like in venues where I know that I'm probably more able to be noticed of not doing anything. A lot of times I'll go up afterwards and express my appreciation or something.
Right. Really appreciated your musical ability today. Thank you. Woo.
Exactly.
Give him a woo. Give him a personal woo.
But yeah, that's something that's always kind of been a struggle for me.
We had that conversation years ago.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that years ago. And as a photographer, I have the gift of being able to watch people worship. It may sound funny, but I remember a long time ago when I first started getting into church photography, one of the people I was studying under, i.e. watched his YouTube video, said, if you're going to be a church photographer and you're a Christ lover, you got to, try to find some way to make what you're doing part of the worship, part of your worship. So that's what I do. Now, if I'm doing my job, I need to show people expressing emotion, wanting the observers to want to participate in that event. So many times I'm taking pictures of people that are worshiping and being emotional, and that used to feel like an invasion, but quite honestly, it doesn't anymore. I'm so used to it now. Maybe slightly, but I'm so used to it now. I get behind my camera, and Chris can attest to this. I get behind my camera, and there's nothing else happening in the world. If somebody were to tap me, which somebody has before, tap me whenever I was doing it, I'll jump because I'm not aware. Once I get up, if I see a place, if that's a safe place, this is where I'm going. Once I'm there and set, there's nothing else happening. I am totally into what I'm looking at. That's the way that I'm worshiping, it's a thing. Taking a picture of somebody like you, it's not what I'm looking for. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just because you're not showing it, it doesn't mean that you're not worshiping as much as the person that I'm taking the picture of with both hands up. And
ironically, the more pictures I see of people doing this, raising their hands and getting into it visibly, that creates more of a struggle. Like, why am I not like that?
Really? Oh my gosh, I'm feeding that then, aren't I?
Well, it's not just you, because there's not a lot of people like me. And so even just standing in that environment and looking at everyone around me, everybody else is doing the thing, and I can sometimes spot them. There's a couple other people in the audience or in the congregation that are like me, and it's interesting watching all of us juxtaposed against all of you.
Right, looking around, going
right.
A couple of funny things that I want to talk about real quick, as far as observing people worshiping and taking pictures. Oh gosh, it's so funny sometimes. Craig Heinzman, our connections. He's not our connections pastor.
Used to be. No, outreach pastor.
He's outreach pastor now. That's his title, but he does everything at that church.
Right.
Chris is. Craig does everything at that church. He's the person I go to find out if I'm on task taking the right pictures or not. He was going through pictures the other day with me. He showed somebody doing this.
Yeah. Delete that one.
He said, Dester, we don't want the Hitler shots, okay? And I swear it looked just like that. I took from behind, and he was... I never thought about that, but I'm glad you told me.
Well, a long time ago at church I used to go to, we were trying to design a new logo for the church because we had just changed our name and made a lot of changes or whatever. And so we put out to congregation, submit your ideas. And it was a smallish church, and someone came to me. It was like this cross that was it was supposed to be like a Pentecost type theme or whatever. It was like a flame that was kind of wrapping around a cross or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I said, well, I don't think, especially in the South, a burning cross is the right.
Oh my gosh.
Is the right image we want for our logo. And they just kind of went white in the face, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. Oh yeah, you're right.
More than two eyes need to look at anything that's going to be out there for any length of time. That is for sure. Another, I didn't take a picture of this, but another funny spot in my life whenever I'm kind of watching people worship is I saw Rusty Penton, a friend of mine. He owns Penton's Upholstery and all this. One of the major sponsors of Snow this week, Sportsman's Night Out this year. I looked over to my left, and he was doing this. And I thought, I've never seen Rusty so charismatic. I've never seen him, so excited. And I was walking over closer to him. I don't know why. I was attracted for what he was doing. He was taking a picture of a light that was out because he was the maintenance supervisor at the time, and he was right under the. And I thought he was so into the worship. Anyway, at the church that we go to, there's everything from people not raising their hands to people totally, and that's about as charismatic as we get. I think we don't. Now, have you ever been there whenever there's a community-wide event? Mm-hmm. There's some funky things happening during that. I've seen a guy run full speed from left all the way to the front, all the way to the back. He was just running as fast as he can around this thing. And my understanding is that's something that happens at some churches, some Pentecostal churches or other churches. People are just running like nuts, man.
So I mentioned coming from a Pentecostal background. That's nothing.
Is that right?
Yeah. Dancing in the aisles, turning flips.
Oh my God.
Throwing your jacket.
Oh my God.
Running laps, jumping over the altars, climbing over pews.
So it's just
that's nothing.
Okay, so if you ask these people, they're getting filled with the Holy Spirit. Is that what they're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. One thing I've noticed on some posts and some videos is the river dance seems to be really popular these days to show your Holy Spirit filledness. Have you noticed that?
That's funny because
it's hilarious.
that was pretty big in the 90s, the actual river dance.
Okay, right, it was, right? I hope people that are watching this, they know what the river dance...
Yeah.
From the waist up, you're totally still.
Right.
But your feet are going crazy, man. You're clogging. You're going. It looks pretty cool.
And see, that's kind of what's going on with me in a lot of worship stuff. It's just it's rigid and still all the way down.
All the way down. Yeah. You're doing half the river dance. It's funny. Anyway, I'm not criticizing anybody. I just think it's whenever you're around something that's so visual and you're not used to being around it, it captures your attention.
Yep.
It does. But anyway, so that was my experience, Josh. I just, I wanted to talk about the dead a little bit and how being at a totally different event kind kind of brought back that feeling. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if our listeners or our viewers are identifying with that, listen, it might be a really good time to have some introspection, but just because you're not doing something you used to do doesn't mean that you have lost something. It may be that you're in a total different place. And if you're secure, with me, my introspection there lasted about a half hour, if that. Actually, during the event, I was going, well, I know why I'm not jumping up and getting excited at this, whatever, because I'm there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was here to do a job, one. And if I'm being totally honest, it probably has something to do with the Meniere's disease that I've been having. I've had episodes once a week now, if not more. And after an episode, I'm flat for a day or two. So it probably has a lot to do with that also. But I still think I would have acted the same way if I didn't even have Meniere's. I'm just not motivated by that. Like you said, I'm just doesn't motivate. Did in the past, good. I don't know what would motivate me now, but I feel like I'm in a place where behavior is such it's consistent, and I'm on board with it.
Yeah. Well, for me, this is really one of those things where you have to be blatantly honest with yourself, right? Yeah. Because there have been times where I've been in a church service or worship service or something like that, and I'm not really reacting to anything because there's something wrong with me. There's something I'm struggling with.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just not there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there are other times where, like we've just been discussing, I am there. I'm into it. I'm getting something out of it. It's working, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But still, from the outward, just because of the way I am, it doesn't look like it. So from the outward appearance, there's probably not much difference between those two. It's really something that I don't want to say self-calibration, but you kind of have to be honest with yourself. And so for me, the way it works out is kind of like this. Earlier this week, I was having lunch with a potential client, and who happens to be a pastor of another church here in town. And I love having lunches with people of like faith because I get to talk about engineering, which is the project that we're meeting about. But I always like to talk to them about faith, about Bible stuff. And that's what happened in this lunch too. Most of the lunch was us talking about Bible stuff. Mm-hmm. And he asked me an interesting question that no other person that I can remember has asked me.
Oh, great!
And I loved the question.
Wow,
because it's something that I've thought about a lot. Mm-hmm. He said, "What if you had your way? Like, what would you be spending most of your time?" I forget exactly how he said it, but it was something to the effect of, "If you had your way, what is the thing you would like to be doing the most?"
So, if money wasn't nothing was a barrier, what would you be doing?
Right. And so I answered it in two ways. I said, if we're talking about like career or work life, whatever, I love engineering, and I'm doing what I want to be doing because I really enjoy engineering, the technical stuff, the math stuff, the philosophy behind the math stuff. It flips every switch in my brain that needs to be switched. On the other hand, if we're not talking about work-related stuff, just life in general, I said the things that are consuming my brain right now are probably fueled by my engineering brain. But I said I have 3 projects, like side research projects that I'm working on right now that I have been working on for a while. But at the beginning of this year, I kind of made it a New Year's resolution. I want to specifically devote more time to these extracurricular things. I said, and they're all Bible related research stuff. I'm really into archaeology and the Bible, and so I want to devote more time to studying that. I have Oh yeah, it's 4 things. And I have a project where I'm going through the Bible, and everywhere where it gives a chronology or a date, I'm trying to catalog that and build
I love that you're doing that,
yeah,
man.
and build a timeline of Scripture that's based on Scripture that can then be superimposed on top of the archaeological stuff I'm studying. And then a project that I've been just obsessed with for longer than I can remember, for years, is and we've talked about this, is all the genealogies in the Bible, of mapping all those out and then superimposing that on that timeline and corresponding with the archaeological stuff. And then to cap it all off, cataloging all of those locations in Google Earth, because you can see a lot of that stuff in Google Earth, satellite imagery. And I started telling them a few of those things, like how you can see the burnt top of Mount Sinai. You can see how you can see where they erected the golden calf altar at the base of Mount Sinai, and then where Moses put the altar after that, and all these things. You can see where they crossed the Red Sea. You can see Mount Carmel. You can see Shechem, which we've been talking about in past episodes. All of that stuff, I've been cataloging all that stuff and putting pinpoints in Google Earth, and to use that. So, like, that's what consumes me is Bible stuff right now. And so going back to that, how I am in church services or worship services or whatever, there are times when I'm just absent. I'm there, but I'm going to steal your phrase now. I couldn't be farther away. And sometimes that sort of mentality exists because there's something in my life that's interfering, that's acting as interference between me and my relationship with God, and yet there are other times where I might not be reacting or whatever, but I'm still absorbing what's going on. It's still working in me and all that stuff. And usually the distinction between the two is in my extracurricular life or life outside of church, do I still have this hunger and this thirst for Scripture, for my relationship with God, and for that type of knowledge? Do I still have that hunger and thirst for it, versus times when I'm just kind of apathetic towards really anything related to God? I still admit that I'm a follower of God and all that stuff, but it's really not doing anything, or I'm not doing anything.
You're not progressing.
Yeah, and so that's kind of like that self-calibration. Is what is my attitude towards God and His Word right now? And that's kind of the litmus test for me, as to how I'm reacting to those types of things.
Right. Well, we've had conversations about and. First of all, let me say this. If you're interested in what Josh is talking about as far as the Google and him with the timelines, genealogy and all that, his Bible students that go to the gun club at Marcus Point Baptist Church on Wednesdays at 6:30 are blessed to be able to see these things. So he takes blocks of that study and he teaches us and shows them on Google Map. And I told you, Josh, whenever you started using Google Map, I said, that's a different level of Bible study. And we had one of the Connections pastor had Jeffrey come in. I think he was in one of your classes. He said, man, do you mind teaching that we'll put it in our app so people can go to it, right?
Yeah. He wants me to start making videos of it. And actually, I'm not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that, he asked if I could talk about it at Teen Challenge.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Good. I'd like to go there.
Okay.
I'd like to be there because I'm getting an affection for Teen Challenge because I did a photo shoot for them.
Yeah, that's right.
Boy, what a bunch of excited people there.
Yep. They used to be a client of mine years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can get some of that, at least a half hour of that every Wednesday night, and that's something that people come back and totally look forward to during that class. So we're enjoying seeing you put that together. A lot of fun. And one of the things that I thought of, Josh, and if you want to, we can close with this, unless you have some other stuff. what you just got through saying, whenever you're feeling far away from God, I'll just use these words, far away from God or closer to God. I want our viewers and listeners to understand that that's okay. Because I'll speak for Josh and I'll say he knows that he's going to be coming back around. How old are you now?
45.
His 45 years teaches him whenever he's farther away from where God is, he knows he's going to come back around. God isn't going anywhere. He's our north, right? Mm-hmm. He is our due north. He's not moving. We tend to move around and get farther away. But in my almost 61 years now, whenever I'm away, I know I'm going to come closer back. The peaks and the valleys, right?
Right.
We're going to be in peaks. We're going to be in valleys.
That's one of the things. Like when you're in that situation and you're wondering why you're not reacting the way you should, mm-hmm. And it is one of those situations where you can tell there's something between you and God.
Maybe there's something. What is it? So we can do some retrospection, right?
Exactly. Sometimes that's the mechanism that God uses to bring you back around.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we can do a litmus test. We can find out, what is it? Am I doing something that? Have you ever found that you haven't been able to put your finger on it, but you came back around anyway? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just maybe a thought. Who knows what it is?
Yeah,
you know?
It could just be like, I've just been so busy in work life that I haven't had time for God.
Gotcha.
And that can have the same effect.
Right. Gotcha. Wow, Chris, thanks for being here.
Mm-hmm. Not a problem, guys.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. That was episode 85. 85.
Yeah.
Josh, 85.
Yep.
Of this iteration.
Yeah.
Probably at 250, 300 altogether, whatever.
Sure.
But this is that number goes up every time I say it too.
Right.
You know, like you mentioned the other day. Episode 85, 86. I might talk a little bit more about the Grateful Dead. We'll see. Maybe Queen.
Ooh. Okay.
One of our faithful listeners, who I happen to be married to, wrote in and said she would like for us to talk about Queen.
Okay.
Specifically, the lead singer. His name is escaping me right now.
Mr. Queen.
Mr. Queen.
Mr. Queen.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I can't remember his name right now, Donna. I'm sorry. I can't remember his name right now. But he was a very charismatic guy.
Yeah.
This dude was he walked into a room and he took over the room. People were magnetized to him. Anyway, for her birthday this year, I got her a book and CDs and about Freddie Mercury.
There you go.
About Freddie Mercury, and she's enjoyed learning more about him. So we might talk about him. Certainly within the month, we'll talk about Freddie Mercury and Queen. Okay. Donna, I love you. Thank you very much. Josh, anything else?
I'm good.
We good?
Yeah.
Chris, we're good? All right.
Love my wife as well.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.